Another exciting part that we've just got into is we've started the deconstruction of the 90s bar that was installed in the main ground floor lobby. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove this bar completely, assess what condition the terrazzo flooring is underneath, and then redesign a new bar to go in when we reopen in 2028. We've been looking at the architectural lighting again in St James, and now we're in the main auditorium, or the main theatre part of the building. And what we've found is that there's actually layers of lights. So these are originally hand-blown bits of neon tubes. This was neon lighting. And we actually tracked the circuit back downstairs to find all the switching for it. So, what we've been able to do is date that switching so that we know that this is original from 1928. And what I suspect this is, I suspect there were two sets of lights. I suspect the neon lights were left on throughout the show as duration because they would have been not very bright and it would have just been a glow. And then this other lighting would have been switched on to provide actual light for people to be able to come and go and leave and I guess light the place up better. And I think that's really important for us to know, because what it means is that when we redesign the lighting system, which will be LED for this area, we will try and replicate that, so there might be two sets of lighting that we reinstall again. This architectural lighting was up here in this cornice, and it shone light up onto the ceiling. And what would have happened is the neons would have been on constantly, and then at the start and post-show would have had the stronger lighting on. We've been removing all the staples and denailing this floor up here on the first floor. And we've changed our thinking about it. Originally we thought that these were fully carpeted, but what we now think is that timber was actually exposed and there was just a runner down the stairs. So that's our thinking at the moment, and we haven't fully made up our mind yet, but we're thinking we might refinish this existing floor and then go back to the runner that just ran down, the carpet runner that ran down the stairs. This is how we know that the neon lights we found in the first floor circle are original. What we did is we tracked this back, we tracked the cabling there back down to one of the control rooms that was hidden under a staircase, and we found the original switching for it. And from the switching here, we were able to date that this is original. So this is the transformer and the twist switch that was that controlled those neons. And you can see it written here, it says circle neons. So we definitely know that this was the control for those lights. Once we've reinstated the cove ceilings and the cornice work up there on that first floor, this is what it will look like. So we're going to recreate the aesthetic or the look that was achieved through those neons and through the other light fittings with an LED system. Staying on the lighting within the building, we've been working out with our electrician how we are going to upgrade the statues or the torchery in the building, and this is where we've got to agreed, and we've just had agreement from the conservation architect that he's happy with this. So this is going to be our approach for all the lighting statues within the building. What's interesting about these statues is they were made in France in the 1800s, and they weren't new when they came here, and they were originally gas lamps. And they were converted to electrical when they were installed in this building. And what we've done is we've taken them back to a gas, I guess, effect on that. And that's exactly what we've done here. So it has a slight flicker in that fitting. We're up in the manager's office on the first floor, and this is really interesting and is a bit of I guess, reinforces that we were correct with our colour scheme. But we've removed the old desk that was up here, and what we've got is the absolute original, untouched interior colour scheme here. And you can actually see where they've put newspaper and then wallpaper over top of it, and the old colours are underneath it. And this, I guess, just helps us inform us of the colours that it was gone back to. But what's interesting about this is the colour is actually in the plaster. It's not a paint finish on the plaster. So there's a layer of plaster here, and that actually contains the colour. So it's built up, and you can see it in some areas here where you've got the grey base render and then a 3 or 4 millimetre thick layer of coloured plaster render that goes on top. So it wasn't actually painted. You may have seen an announcement that was made late last week about a new basement venue within St James. And I thought I'd come on and just talk about what that is and how that came about, and explain a bit about it to you. So to meet the current fire code of the building has a north basement and a southern basement. So it's essentially a basement under the stage and a basement under the lobby. Now those are existing, they've always been there. And to meet the fire code, we had to join those two, so that in a fire you could essentially exit through another part of the building. And to do that, we essentially had to build a tunnel. And we had to retain material on both sides of it. It was quite expensive to do. And what came out of that was it was actually cheaper just to remove the material completely and build a basement that connects them, rather than try and create a tunnel. And that's exactly what we've done. And what that has created is a venue space essentially the size of the entire ground level or floor plate of St. James. So it's quite large. And we've decided to turn it into a performing arts or a usable space of the building. It could be anything from rehearsal space to concerts. So we're proposing just to sort of leave it as a black box. And we might put some limited hospitality down there. We'll put some toilets down there. But it has the potential capacity of up to about 1,200 people. So it's a large space. And I guess as another string in the bow for the operations of this theatre as a wider complex and what it can offer. We're in the ground floor auditorium, and we've been removing the bar that was put in here in the 90s. And we're actually really thankful because it was installed in a way that we would do it in a modern way in a heritage building. So if you look here, it's not attached to the floor at all. So they haven't cored into the floor or bolted it to the floor. They've put this nice padding between the frame and the floor so that we uplift it, we're not damaging it. And it's really good because it means we're not having to deal with a whole lot of cord holes and dyno bolts and things going into the original ornate terrazzo floor. We're in the ground floor lobby here at St. James, and what we've done is we've removed the bar that was put here in the late 90s, we think it was built, and it was actually built really well, and we found exactly what we wanted to find, which is that the terrazzo flooring underneath that bar was in pretty good condition. Don't get me wrong, there's a few holes and a few patches and things, but on the whole it was in really good condition. And what we've got to do is remove some of the last floor coverings that are left that are just really hard to uplift because they're so old. And I guess best conservation techniques to do this are use the least invasive approach as possible. And the way we're going to uplift this old lino that's on here and remove the adhesive is actually with just boiling hot water. I've done a little bit of sample area here, and essentially what you do is you just cover it in really, really hot water, and you let it sit, and that'll do two things. It'll soften the adhesive, but it'll also soften the lino, so it'll make it more flexible and more bendable, so it will hopefully uplift easier. And what it really does is it just means that you can get under it really effectively and uplift it. And then once you've uplifted it, you can actually get in there, and the heat will actually allow you to mechanically remove the adhesive as well. Here's a bit I prepared earlier. So you can actually see here where I've managed to not only uplift the vinyl, but also remove the adhesive without damaging the terrazzo at all. And it's in really, really good condition under there. So you can see quite clearly here where the adhesive was and where we've removed it.